Wife wanted an open relationship. Now after she's tried it she wants to call it off. I have not had a chance to try yet. How should I feel or react about this? Story 1. About 2 weeks ago, after a series of strenuous and difficult times in our relationship, particularly revolving around time, my wife decided she wanted to try an open relationship. It is important to know a few things, although I don't have time to write the entire thing. First, my wife has had consistent fidelity issues. She claims or thinks she either a mild nymphomaniac or just hyper-time-ool. She said in verbatim words, "It's not you, you're great, I just don't think one man will ever really fully satisfy me time-ooly." At first I was absolutely appalled. However, I tried to keep an open mind as we thought it out over the next few days. At first, when I agreed, it was conditional. There were a certain amount of rules. 1. No one from our past, as to avoid redevelopment of intimacy. 2. No one in our car or home or space we share together as a couple. 3. Don't make the other person or our son suffer via schedule to make time for other individuals, i.e. family is still first. 4. Don't ask, don't tell. Don't lie to me if I ask, but for the most part let's mind our own business. 5. Make sure your new friends understand their place in the world because you told them up front your intentions and where they stand within that structure. I shouldn't have to defend mine or her honor. 6. That I absolutely wouldn't accept her going home with men she met at the strip club she works for. Oh yeah, she's an exotic dancer. After a while I came to realize that with the exception of a few parts, the rules were counterintuitive and kind of irrelevant. What difference does it make if she sleeps with someone from her past versus some new guy? Is it really better or worse for her to have time only once per person and therefore skyrocket her body count, or if she had repeated time with the same few individuals, which could potentially lead to the development of emotional ties to said man? It doesn't really matter. So I told her that other than things based on courtesy, i.e. don't have time at our house or in spaces we utilize as a family, or take a shower, brush your teeth post intercourse and before you cuddle or kiss me or my son, the rules seem to be a moot point. A day later she comes home 2.5 hours after she got off from work. Like I said, don't ask, don't tell. So I left myself to my assumptions. The next morning we were having casual conversation about whatever. She looks up and says she did it and how she feels so guilty even if she was allowed, and whole lot more following those lines. I ask if she wants to stop this open relationship. She didn't speak at all. The look on her face said part of me does, part of me doesn't. To be completely honest, the vibe I got was how much she realized what she was going to feel if I had time with another woman, but that she was reluctant to strip her own rights to extramarital intercourse. In order to try and extract her true sentiments or intentions, I boiled down my question. Why don't you want the open relationship? She responded, I don't want you to have time with another girl. I felt this guilty over me doing it, so I know how it will be when you do, for me and you. Mind you, she has cheated on me several times, although not always intercourse. She claims never intercourse because I've never been able to prove that, but I've proven time, for example. So there is complete reason to assume this is not her first extramarital intercourse. Okay, I said, so why do you want an open relationship? She responded, because I feel like I can't mess up, that I can't lose you over cheating on you again because I will more than likely duck it up again and get this, and because I feel as though you want it or that it isn't fair. No kidding. Now keep in mind I haven't had time with anyone. This seems unfair to me. Not necessarily due to the eye for an eye mentality, but because she experienced it immediately and wants to call it off before I've even had a chance to try. I went into this with an open mind despite my initial feelings. Now I've allowed another man to have time with my wife and she's telling me she doesn't want it anymore? Seems hardly fair. From my perspective, she got a get out of jail free card and wants to cut mine up before I can do anything. In response to her 2 questions, I told her I was going to need time to think about how I feel about the situation and what I wanted to do about it. Update. Timeline-wise, we are concurrent with me writing the original post. I am obviously having many of the thoughts you all are posting here. No, I am not oblivious to my duckery here. Never have been. I've tried to be slow and patient and loving to my wife the last 3 years based on a few moral principles of mine. I made a commitment and why I understand she did as well but broke hers, and I cannot control how others keep their word, however I can control how I keep mine. Also, she struggles with very legitimate and clinically recognized depression and anxiety. Not to say these have served as an excuse or a buy for her, but then again my patience has been taken for foolery and therefore, yeah, they kind of have been an excuse. In the midst of struggling with my emotions between my moral compass, my disgusting marriage, and my somehow surprisingly successful parenthood, believe or not, yes, her included, I decided to post here and more or less confirm my thoughts. Tonight as she headed out for work, and yes, I'm going to paraphrase here for the sake of my already gargantuan post, she basically said that I needed to have my decision for her by the next time we spoke, whether that mean I stay up for her to get home, or if I wait and speak to her when she gets up mid-afternoon tomorrow. This kind of tells me she wants me to leave. I know how much she's going to suffer when I do, because believe it or not, you'd have to be there to know it's actually pretty apparent she loves me and our family. Unfortunately for her, she is a chronic cheater and lacks self-control. Anyway, she says her anxiety can't handle being left on this unknown status. However, she also says she isn't willing to continue the open relationship, so that if I choose that, then default I am leaving her. So I have two choices here, and I don't believe she wants me to leave, but I do believe she wants to get it over with one way or the other. I just found it funny that even after all this she managed to find one last way to manipulate the final moments to be on her terms. It makes me pseudo-sad for her because I don't even know if she realizes she's doing it at this point. TLDR, why fast for open relationship? She has had time with another man within 2 days of beginning this and now wants to call it off. I haven't had intercourse with anyone. How should I feel about this? Edit 1. I feel it may be important for context reasons to include that she utilized Tinder to test this open relationship. Edit 2. Small grammatical and spelling errors corrected. Edit 3. It has been several years now and many of you have reached out to me in support. I want to thank all of you that did. Things did eventually work out. I left her not long after these events for pretty obvious reasons. I filed for divorce. And although the divorce was a 2-year-long escapade with many small caveats throughout that time, in the end I was granted full custody of my son, and the marriage was absolved. Thank you again for those of you who reached out in support. I cannot thank you enough, and although my life continues to have its challenges, I am no longer in that toxic poisonous situation. Redditor's reactions. Redditor 1. Jesus. This is terrible. Please find a better wife. Redditor 2. It sounds like nothing new, to be honest. She's always slept with other men and you've always been loyal to her. This time she just put a label on it to try to feel better. I'm not sure why you'd feel any certain way about this. It seems normal to you guys. Redditor 3. Dude, you married a stripper, accepted her cheating, and allowed other men to duck her. What exact kind of relationship were you expecting? Story 2. Desperate for help. My wife asked for an open relationship, and now it's consuming her life and she's being dishonest. I apologize that this is so long, TLDR. I'm just worried about losing my best friend, my marriage, and the life we have because my wife has become addicted to our open relationship. I'm just looking for advice from people who have been through this before, since there are days recently where I have felt suicidal, insufficient, and simply worthless because of this. How it happened. 2 weeks ago I came home and my wife of 2 years asked me to come into our room. She was nervous, asked me to turn off the lights, told me she wanted to ask me something, then got right to the point and asked about opening up our marriage. I immediately assumed it was something about me she was unhappy with, as any guy surely would think, but she began explaining that it was stemming from us meeting when she was 18 and being together for 10 years, and how she missed out on her youth and experiencing different people. I was shocked but not entirely against the idea. Although I felt kind of emasculated, it was kind of hot to imagine this life for us. I met my wife at a time in her life when she was 18, she's now 28, I'm now 32 and suffering very bad depression and anxiety, and when I myself was severely depressed and losing my dad to health issues, so having each other helped and we established an amazing friendship which ended up turning into our marriage. But since 2019 my wife has been in therapy working through her depression, and it's helped her tremendously. She has become the real her and I've seen her finally happier than ever, But my concern is that therapy has in turn made her realize she is deep down unhappy with me. We agreed to open up our marriage, but almost immediately she started showing the signs I was worried about. She signed up for Tinder, got literally thousands of guys liking her profile in less than a week, dozens of guys Snapchatting her and messaging her. Her phone hasn't gone 30 seconds without vibrating. It's been 2 weeks now and she probably spends 12 hours a day on her phone talking to guys, and it's like this every day. She isn't working right now, so she told me it's just what passes her time. I've told her many times it's consuming her life and she gets angry, telling me she needs to vet the guys out before hooking up with them. She did find one guy, I'll call him Frank, she was comfortable with, who lived 5 minutes away. I had told her I was okay as we opened up our marriage, but I repeatedly said to use a condom. She told me to stop being overbearing as if I was acting like a dad worried for his kid, and that she wasn't stupid and would use a condom, etc. Well, she got home later that night, told me they had time twice at his place, and that the guy didn't use a condom. She's not on birth control, so I was livid. No condom? And twice? I started shaking, sweating, and took a 4 hours drive to clear my head. I told her I didn't want her seeing that guy again. She defended him at first, saying they were drunk and he probably pulled out. That pissed me off and I got super angry, and she realized the guy took advantage of her and agreed not to see him again. Fast forward a few days, I find my wife drunk, naked and passed out on the floor upstairs where she had been Snapchatting guys. Her phone was open and it turns out she had been texting this Frank guy, and secretly agreed to see him on Thanksgiving night after literally promising me hours earlier she was done with him. I threw her phone across the house, told her I'm done and that if this continued we were getting a divorce. She wasn't taking herself seriously, our marriage seriously, or me seriously. She started bawling, crying, apologizing, saying she f'd up, etc. I left and didn't come back until the next morning. I parked my car a few miles from our house on a street next to a train track and thought about driving in front of the next Amtrak train. I was watching our friendship, our marriage, our dreams of a family and our trust drift away, and it gutted me. We talked a lot the next day and I planned a classic date night for us to rekindle our own love. A nice dinner at one of our favorite Italian restaurants and a movie like old times. She promised me the night was ours and that she would put away the phone for our time together. However, the whole time she was getting ready for our date, she was sending pictures of her outfit to guys. She sent a picture of her dish at the restaurant to guys, then a picture of her at the movies to someone as well. She tried to hide it by quickly snapping the pictures and sending them a few minutes later. Also, the entire car ride from the restaurant to the movies she was texting guys. I was broken inside and felt so low. She kept asking me, "What's wrong? Why are you acting weird?" As if she was so clueless. This week she had set up plans to see guys Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, all before she leaves next week for 6 days to visit family. I called her out saying she was taking all of our time away, and again she got angry. How can she spend 5 of 6 nights away from me with other guys? That's not an open relationship, that's a one-sided relationship with someone who doesn't value my time anymore. On top of that, and the reason I posted this, I found out that before asking to open our marriage she had rekindled an old friendship from years ago with a guy she knew and was texting, sending nude pics to him behind my back. They talked about the fantasy of hooking up, and that is ultimately why my wife asked to open the marriage. She wanted to experience this guy and claims she has no real chemistry with him but just wants to experience him. My wife's going to New Jersey next week to visit family where he also lives, and I guess she wanted to meet up with him then, so now I am thinking she sprung the open relationship on me as a way to safely cheat. As I write this, my wife is passed out in the bedroom because she spent much of the morning talking to another guy on the phone. I woke up and heard her in the bathroom at 5:30 a.m. talking to another guy. She's never not on her phone. Whether it's Snapchat, Tinder, texting, etc., she has become completely consumed by this. Vetting people out with text Snapchat doesn't take 13 hours a day. She sets up meetings with guys almost every night, barely can hold a conversation with me anymore without jumping back to her phone, and she is just different. I am feeling distanced from my wife. I've expressed my concerns but don't know what to do. She's my best friend, and I've struggled to begin my journey with the open relationship. I met one person but have no desire to spend 8 hours per day talking to other girls. I just don't care that much. My wife is enough, but it's clear I'm not enough for her. She has shown a few signs of being deceptive, and it's just not who I thought she was. She's always been the sweetest, kindest and most loving person I've known. I would so greatly appreciate input from any women and men here. This is new to me, and she has taken this process from 0 to 1,000 overnight. I'm scared for her, and I'm scared for myself that our marriage is permanently damaged and that I'm going to break. Thank you for reading this mess. Redditors' reactions. Redditor 1, this is not a healthy way to start ethical non-monogamy ENM or polyamory. There needs to be so many conversations in between. I think I'd like to be open and I have a date tonight. I guess it's possible to do that quicker, assuming a strong relationship and excellent communication skills in both partners, but it usually takes 6 months to 2 years before you're really ready to act on this. Y'all skipped a lot of steps. I would suggest closing the relationship to any time romantic contact or interactions with anyone for a bit. Read some of the book's materials often recommended. Ethical Slut, More Than Two website. Talk about how you feel about each subject in the book. There's a jealousy workbook that's often recommended in this sub. Try that out together. Talk some more. Think about the ideal situation for each of you, including how to manage time. Talk about that. If after a year or more of reading and talking, you still want to open the relationship, then maybe try it out. But I'll be honest, I don't see it working out. Within 2 weeks, she has neglected your relationship and at unprotected time and doesn't seem to think that either of these is a big deal. Those 2 items would be huge deals to me. If I can't trust that my partner will make reasonably good decisions and not risk their and my health by not taking big risks, at the very least, not informing me of the risk they took before we engaged in any time activity again, then I would be evaluating the relationship very hard. If she's not willing to close the relationship and do the work you both skipped, I don't see a happy ending for you two. Redditor 2, Therese exploring your newfound lifestyle and then Therese being extremely selfish to the point of damaging those around you. I feel like your wife is definitely taking it too far and might be overwhelmed by the attention high she is getting from the new experiences. However, personally, her not using a scene-dom and then going back and forth on whether or not he pulled out is a deal breaker for me. I would never want to be with someone who would put me at risk like that and then lie about it after promising the opposite. Also, passing out while doing this in the odd hours really does sound like an addiction, complete with lying and sneaking around. I am so sorry. I don't think this reflects on you at all. Your wife needs therapy to deal with whatever she is going through, even if it's just coping with the new attention and balancing her life and existing relationship with new ones. If you choose to put down firm boundaries like no seeing Frank, no time without a scene-dom, be firm and leave if she violates it at all. You deserve peace of mind, support, and most of all, basic respect and safety. Edit. Also, you can have boundaries like that, especially ones about safety and regarding partners that she previously has been dishonest about. It is okay to do that for yourself. Redditor 3, she crossed 2 of your boundaries, had time without a scene-dom and lying. What's the consequence? I will not be in a relationship with you if you continue to have time without a scene-dom. I will not be in a relationship with you if you lie. Just getting upset doesn't do anything. There have to be consequences for crossing boundaries, and you have to follow through on them, or else they are not boundaries.